السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن If it is possible to come close, that would be the best. If not, I'm fine with whatever you like, inshallah. Alhamdulillah والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم يا ربنا اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا بعده تفرقا معصوما. اللهم لا تجعل فينا ولا بيننا ولا منا شقيا ولا محروما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. One of the issues in fiqh that actually makes fiqh easier than what it seems to be is what we call it al-qawa'id al-fiqhiyya al-kubra or al-kulliyya, which means the principal rules in fiqh, principal rules on fiqh. What happened between fuqaha is that they said there are so many, like zillion of masail, right? For example, what is the ruling if this happens? What is the ruling about eating this? What is the ruling about going to sleep at this point in time? Praying, moving. I mean, there are zillions of masail. So they said there are certain patterns in fiqh that actually dictate how the ruling looks like, right? And those rulings are actually coming from what the Sharia really came to serve. So for example, we all know a rule that everyone knows, and this is actually in all madhahib, which is al-mashaqqa tajlibu at-taysir, that when there is a necessity, when there is a real need for something, then that may open certain doors within the Sharia to make it permissible. Even though the things might be not permissible, but because of the darura, because of the necessity, it may make it easier. And we always take this example, like let's say a person is lost in the desert, and that person is striving to death now, or that is very hungry, that he's under like the starvation, it just cannot live. And then, he found like a dead animal. Is it permissible to eat from that dead animal so that he can continue to live or not? By all the ulama, there's no difference of opinion. They say yes, because for him to continue living is more important than to avoid eating the dead animal, right? This is coming from a qaida, from a rule called al-mashaqqa tajlibu at-taysir, that when there is a necessity, when there is some hardship on the people, then that will open the door for some easiness in Sharia. Right? Okay, so there are 5 actually qawa'id, all our ulama have agreed upon. And under these, every qaida of these, there are hundreds and maybe thousands of masail that come under each one of them. I will say them, and I want to explain one of them. But I want to say that, subhanAllah, I always try to make this argument that many of us think that the 4 madhahib are very different. And in fact, they are different, but in the main principles, they are not. They are all coming to serve the same religion from Quran and Sunnah. There isn't anything that Imam Abu Hanifa brought out of the blue. There isn't anything that Imam al-Shafi'i has brought out of the blue. Everything they brought was from Quran and Sunnah. Perhaps there were mistakes here and there. Of course, they were humans after all. Even Sahaba radiallahu anhum had some issues because they were humans. They probably might forgot something. They may did a mistake in expressing themselves, or they might have even made some logical misunderstanding, whatever it is. But for the most part, those scholars were coming from Quran and Sunnah, and they have genuine genuine conclusion from the Quran and Sunnah on their own madhahib. And that is why, because they are coming from Quran and Sunnah, for the most part they are equal. Except for what we call it al-masail al-far'iyya, The masail or the issues that are actually minor are not the major ones. So I always give this example. Our ulama have disagreed about what is the ruling of praying in the masjid. Some of them said it is mandatory. Some of them said it is actually, if you don't pray in the masjid, your salah is not even valid. Some of them said praying in the masjid is highly recommended, but you still can't pray at home. So these are differences, right? But what did they agree on? They agreed that you need to go to the masjid, right? Because the least is that it is very highly recommended. So our ulama have agreed on the principle. They may have disagreed on certain like final verdict on things, but in principle they have like almost agreed on all those big major masail. So the qawa'id or the principles or the rules that that are combined under what we call it the al-qawa'id al-fiqhiyya al-kubra, the principal fiqh ruling are actually agreed upon by all the ulama, and those are 5. One of them is the one that I just mentioned, al-mashaqqatu tajlubu at-taysir, which means that if there's a necessity, then there are some doors of easiness that will be open in Sharia. There's another qaida called al-umuru bimaqasidiha. Al-umuru bimaqasidiha, that everything that that you do will be judged by your intention. I give you a very quick example. Let's say that you came to the masjid, your mind is so occupied with work, right? What you have in your mind is that you want to pray Salat al-Dhuhr, because you thought you did not pray it. You already prayed Salat al-Dhuhr, but your mind is so occupied with work, so you came with your intention that this is Salat al-Dhuhr because you have not prayed it. But in reality, this was Salat al-Asr, and you started the prayer. Now, what was in your mind? Dhuhr, right? But what are you actually praying? Asr. So by the time you finish, oh, this was Asr, but I already prayed it. Can you count that? All the ulama have said, no, you cannot. Why? Because you will be judged by your intention, not only by the physical ritual that you have done. So regardless of the madhab, no, it cannot count. Khalas. So that's al-umur maqasida. But if we take this rule and we apply it to masail, there are thousands of masail that actually go under it. And that's the beauty of those things called al-qawa'id al-fiqhiyya. Okay, so we did al-mashaqqa tajlib al-taysir, we did al-umur bi-maqasidiha. There is a rule that I would like to explain now. It's called al-yaqinu la yazulu bil-shak. If a certainty cannot be overruled by doubt. Many of us have doubts. Doubts that come to them all the time. Like for example, every time I pray Salatul Dhuhr, and by the way, it happens to me, and I think it happens to all of us, when you, especially, I do believe that Salatul Dhuhr, and for people who work in corporate America, is the most difficult salat to concentrate and focus on. Do you agree with me? I mean, to me, that's how it is. Because my mind is, what should I do in this next meeting? Oh, I heard my colleague was saying about something, but I really did not really understand what he meant. So what should I tell my wife? When am I supposed to be back at home? And all these questions bombard you to the extent that you just don't follow up on which rak'ah you are at. So when you pray Salatul Dhuhr and it comes to the third rak'ah, is this my third or my second rak'ah? Do I have to do now sujood, the first tashahhud, or I already did it? So those things are doubts that come to a person. But the qa'idah says, al-yaqinu la yazulu bil-shak. So whatever you have certainty about, then that will not be overruled by your doubts. So for example, my doubt is this my third rak'ah or my second rak'ah? So what am I certain about? I am certain that I did 2 rak'ah, for sure. but I'm doubting, did I do the third or not? So that doubt will never overrule the certainty. So I have to count only 2, not 3, and I have to make up for the one I'm doubting. So this is just one example of thousands of examples that go under that rule. There's a fourth qaida called الضرر يزال. It's coming from a hadith from Rasulullah ﷺ that says لا ضرر ولا ضرار, that any harm must be eliminated in Sharia, any harm. And actually, there are thousands of applications to this, thousands of rulings. I give you example. Who says that marijuana is haram? Who said that? It's not in the hadith, it's not in the Quran, but we have a principle that if anything that is harmful is haram, it has to be eliminated. So that's it. And this rule is coming from a hadith, from either Quran and hadith, but all our ulama have agreed upon. Because we know in Sharia that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought Sharia in order to make our life in the best shape, in order to have the best and most comfortable life. So if there's something that is harmful, be it marijuana, be it smoking, be it whatever, it goes under that one rule, which is الضرر يزال, or لا ضرر ولا ضرار, that anything that is harmful must be eliminated. What did I miss? Yeah. There's the fifth qaida is called العادة محكمة. العادة محكمة. Al-ada is actually the custom. Like I live, for example, let's say I live in Morocco. They have certain customs. People have certain customs, like for example, how they rent a place, how they purchase a piece of land, there are certain customs, right? Or how do you pay for your food, for example, the process of doing things. And in Sharia, as long as the custom does not directly conflict with Sharia, then it must be applied. And that's where the statement is al-qa'idatu muhakkama, that the custom is being used to judge things as long as they don't conflict with Sharia. I give you a very common example. In Morocco, if someone anyone from Morocco here can help us? Anyone from Morocco? Okay, but you are from Morocco? Okay, if you want to rent a place, what is the word that you use in Arabic? Huh? Yakri. Huh? Ikri, yes. So, yakri al-bayt means to rent a home, rent a house. In all other countries, yakri means to purchase, not to rent. In all other countries, perhaps maybe other than the North African countries. And so let's say that you are writing a contract with someone in Morocco, and you have used this word yakri. And then you had a dispute, and then it goes to the judge. Would the judge say, let's say the clause says, I am doing kari of this house by, for example, 12,000. Now there's now dispute because the one who is purchasing this is from Syria, it's Abdurrahman, and he thought 12,000 for a house, mashallah, this is great, I can purchase the whole house and it becomes mine. But the one from Morocco says, no, this is only for the rent, not for you to purchase. So we go to the judge. Who the judge should, how should the judge make the ruling? Is it my language or their language? If this happens in Morocco, then it has to be their language. If this happens in Syria, then it will become Syrian language, and so on. So this is just one example, and actually this happens a lot. There are plenty of thousands of masail like this. So al-'adatu muhakkama. Similarly, you go for marriage. I mean, there are many cross marriages here in America, right? So some of the customs is that you need to pay a dowry that is that part of it is now, and then another part that goes later. Some other customs, they don't have that. You just pay one single dowry and that's it, right? So when two people come together and then they agree on the first dowry, for one of them, this is it, khalas, nothing more. For the other side, no, I'm expecting something more, and then they have dispute. So what is it that we have to rule about? And that's where al-'adatu muhakkama. Of course, if this happens here in America, it's more difficult because America in itself does not have a custom. So there are, there are different customs there. But anyways, I just wanted to highlight what I mean by al-'ada, which is the custom between Muslims. Okay, so those are 5, what we call them, the major fiqh principles. All our ulama, all the madhahib, all the 4 madhahib have agreed on these 5. So today I want to focus on one of them, and that is al-yaqinu la yazulu bil-shak, that certainty will not be overruled by doubt. So let me just, before I say this, let me define the terminology. When I say doubt, what does that mean? Anyone can tell me what comes to their mind when they hear the word doubt? You're not sure. But how would you say it more precisely? Of course it's uncertainty, but how, I want this to be very precise. Precise in the sense of, okay, what does it mean? Is it like 50-50? 75 versus 25%? What is it? What does doubt here mean? Huh? Anything that is not 100%? Okay, 50-50, what do you think? Not able to recall. So in terms of percentage, what is it? So in Arabic, there's the word dhan or shak. Huh? I'm sorry, shak. There's the word shak, and then there's the word dhan, and then there's the word ghalabatul dhan, and then there's the word yaqeen. So how many levels? 4. Okay, so first one is shak, is when it is 50-50. 50%, 50%. So I'm like, did I pray dhuhr? Wallahi, I can't remember. It's 50% I did, 50% I did not do. That's called what? Shak. There's dhan. Dhan means that I do believe I prayed, but I'm like 70% almost. There's what we call it ghalabat al-dhan. I'm almost sure I did it. I did Salat al-Dhuhr, but there's this slight chance that I may have not. And that's what we call it ghalabat al-dhan. So it's like 90-95% I did it, and maybe 10 to 5% I did not. And then yaqeen means it's 100%, right? I know many people like to differentiate, and some people actually they are either black or white. Either I'm certain I did it, or I'm certain I did not do it. And subhanallah, every human has his own way of thinking, or their own way of thinking. So when we say al-yaqeen, certainty, will not be overruled by a shak, by al-yaqeen la yazulu bil-shak, or by doubt, what we mean is when you are 100% or close to 100%. Because in Sharia, yaqeen and ghalabat al-dhan, like almost certain, have the same ruling. In Sharia, in fiqh, if you are certain or you are almost certain, have the same ruling. That's in general. Like I mean, that's what people are asked to follow, because if you are, almost very few people will always have certainty about things. Most of the time, you say, yes, I'm sure I did it, but now that I'm thinking about it, no, I did it. The fact that you just took a moment to say, yes, I did it, it means that there was this slight, not doubt, but slight hesitance to say, I'm 100% sure, right? So in Sharia, whether it is yaqeen or it is very, very close to yaqeen, they take the same ruling. But the qaida says that if you are in doubt, then that doubt doesn't count. You need to apply the yaqeen, or what we call it, ghalabat al-dhann. Okay, so there are many examples to these, and I just mentioned the hadith, the ruling of when you pray and you're not sure whether this is the third or the fourth, or this is the first or the second, then what do you need to assume? You assume the less number, because that you are certain about that, and you drop your doubt about the other rak'ah that you don't know whether you did it or not, and you just have to do it again. Now, this actually came from a hadith, from an authentic hadith, in which Rasul ﷺ has said, whoever prays and two rak'ah and he has doubt whether he did the third or not, then let him assume it was two, and so on. This is an authentic, explicit hadith. There's another hadith very that also applies the same ruling. The hadith says, إن أحدكم لا يجد في بطنه شيئا, that sometimes a person finds some movement in their stomach, or they feel they have a doubt that they perhaps have already passed wind. فإذا وجد أحدكم ذلك فلا يقم حتى يسمع صوتا أو يجد ريحا. He ﷺ said, if you are in doubt and you don't know what has happened, whether you did pass wind or not, then don't leave your salah until you either hear something or you smell something. And what that really means is that if you have a doubt, you nullified your wudu, don't count on your doubt. What you are certain about is that you made wudu and you started your prayer. So you are certain about this. Your doubt of nullifying your wudu should not count. And wallahi, if this hadith was not there, most of us will have to redo our wudu every single prayer. I mean, this is one of the things that I keep getting from people asking me. We start our prayer, and then some of them say, I forgot, was my last wudu before was it for this salah or was it for something else? And then some of them would say, I don't know if I missed my wudu or not. And some of them say, I don't know if when I did my wudu, perhaps I did not do my hand. I did my face, I did my foot or my feet, but I don't know about my hands, and so on and so forth. It's like one of the most frequent questions, unfortunately. So Rasul ﷺ said to the person, whoever has doubt whether they broke their wudu or nullified their wudu by passing wind, he said, don't leave your prayer unless you become certain. And certain by whom? By what? By either hearing something or smelling something. And that is why the certainty that you had that you came to the prayer with wudu should not be overruled by a doubt. But if you have now new certainty that you broke your wudu, then that new certainty overrules the old one. You see the point? Okay. So those are two examples that actually have explicit hadith in the sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ. But there are thousands of things like that. So let me give you a few of the very frequent things that we have in today's life. One of the things that I keep hearing from sisters is that the period of sisters, it has a beginning through the blood, and then it has an end. There's a sign of an end through another substance that comes as white, right? We call it in Sharia al-qassatul bayda. So it starts with the blood, and it ends with this white substance. Many of our sisters have this. This is traditional, and subhanallah, it's part of the physical body. Some of them do not have it. Like when the blood comes, they don't know whether this blood is the blood of the period or it is the blood that comes from maybe a bleeding, like just some other bleeding. And also they don't have even that white substance that concludes the period or the height. So for those, and apparently in today's life, this became so problematic because of the type of food and nutrition and even other medication that people do. So nowadays, actually, haid or period is very confusing to many sisters. They just don't know if the bleeding that starts, is it really the haid one or some other bleeding? And similarly, the ending of it. So the ruling is here also applies, which is when you become, if you have doubt that whether this blood is coming from a period or from something else, then what are you certain about? You're certain that you were pure, right? Because when the lady prays, she is pure. When the lady cannot pray, then she has her period, right? So if a lady is pure and now she started some bleeding, she doesn't know that, because the bleeding for a period is very different from the normal bleeding. And sometimes it becomes in between. So they don't know. So they ask, is this coming from the period or is it coming from something else? So we tell them, what do you think most likely it is? Sometimes they know, because they say, well, this is usually when it happens, so then it becomes almost certain. Then we say, no, then you have to apply this. But sometimes they say, no, I just don't know. It's not coming at the right, it's coming close, but not really the exact time that I usually have. And I just don't know. And in this case, we tell them, what? You apply the certainty rule, that if you are certain about something, don't change it. Similarly, what is the usual length of a period? About 7 days, right? So I'm sorry, I know I'm talking only to men here, but this is fiqh. By the way, Aisha radiallahu anha said that the thing that made the Ansari women more faqih than others is that because they did not shy from asking Rasulullah ﷺ about their questions. And that was a privilege, that was a great thing. So in fiqh, when we talk about those things, there's nothing that we shy away from. Okay, so similarly, when the lady finishes her hayd, if it finishes early and she's not sure because she doesn't have this white substance, then we tell her what is most likely the situation is. If she doesn't know, then we tell her, you apply what you are certain about. I give you now another example, which is in your prayer. You came to the prayer, you don't know whether you have washed the najasa on your cloth or not. Huh? So you have a cloth, let's say that you were going to the marketplace and a dog came and licked you. By the way, I did talk about najasa of kalb, and one of the brothers told me, Sheikh, in Maliki madhab, we don't follow this. And I told him, this is not true. What goes in the Maliki madhab is that whether or not they have to wash it 7 times or not in order to remove the najasa. In all the madhahab, Hanafi, Shafi'i and Maliki, the najasa of kalb, of the dog, will not go away unless you wash the thing 7 times, and one of them with the dirt, with the natural dirt. In the Maliki madhab, if you are able to remove the najasa itself through only one wash, then najasa is removed. And continuing with the 7 washes is actually just in order to fulfill the sunnah. That's in the Maliki madhab. But all of them agree that kalb has najasa. the saliva of the kalb, of the dog, is najis. There's no difference of opinion about this. Okay. I mean, yes, there are some few alim or mashayikh from here and there, and this applies even within any other madhab, that they are the outliers, and they say things that are very different from the vast majority of ulama. Those don't count. What really counts is what we call them the imam of the madhab. So for example, in the Hanafi madhab, there's the imam, which is Imam Abu Hanifa, and then there are his 3 students. Anyone remembers them? Anyone remembers the 3 students of Imam Abu Hanifa? Muhammad ibn al-Hasan, Qadi Yusuf, and come on, you must be Hanafi. Zafar, Al-Imam Zafar. Those 3 students of Imam Abu Hanifa were the highest ulama. And actually, they say that Imam Muhammad ibn al-Hasan is usually more capable in ibadat, whereas Qadi Yusuf is more capable in qada, which is mu'amalat, right? So that's why in the Hanafi madhab, they say, for example, Imam Abu Hanifa said so, and both of his students agreed, or one of his students agreed and the other did not, and they have different way of deriving rules based on this. Similarly, Imam al-Shafi'i, who is the highest student or the best student of Imam al-Shafi'i? Anyone knows? Anyone Shafi'i here? No one Shafi'i? So the best student of Imam al-Shafi'i was called Al-Imam al-Muzani. Al-Imam al-Muzani. And they actually, sometimes the Imam al-Muzani drive the Shafi'i madhab away from the Imam himself. Similarly, in madhab Malik, in madhab Abu Hanifa, madhab Malik, he has a book called Al-Muwatta. But his students have another book called Al-Mudawwana. And Al-Muwatta has the ahadith and the rulings. Al-Mudawwana has this very detailed rulings that were actually reviewed by his students and him. So sometimes there's a misalignment. So which one do they take? Is it the ruling on the Mudawwana or not? Actually, remember the other day when I was talking about where to put your hands, right? So in the Maliki madhab, there is an opinion that says you may make them loose like this. When you start your prayer, Allahu Akbar, in the Maliki madhab, there is an opinion that says you just make them loose and you say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, unlike all the other madhab. But what is in Muwatta of Imam Malik, there is a hadith in which Imam Malik has narrated, and it says that Rasulullah ﷺ used to put his left hand first and then his right hand on top of it. So even in the Muwatta, the common practice nowadays is not following that. But that does not mean that the Maliki madhab did not say this, right? So I wanted this to be clear that, I mean, if you see someone doing this while reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, it probably may have come because they are coming from North Africa. Akhi, you're Moroccan. What do you do for the most part? This way or this way? This way. You've seen this, right? Okay. There is difference of opinion within the Maliki madhab, but the Imam himself, Imam Malik used to quote the hadith that he saw Sallam would put the right hand on top of the left hand. Okay, so what I wanted to say is that you came to your prayer, you don't know whether there was najasa or not on your clothes. What do you do? Should you pray or should you not pray? Huh? Huh? You should not pray, or you should pray. So let's go back to what you are certain about. So if you are certain about that you had a pure cloth, and you don't know if the dog has really touched you or not, then you apply what? The certain that it is pure. But if you already know that the dog has touched you, but you forgot whether you have washed it or not, then you apply what? The certainty, which is that it is impure. So that actually applies to most of what we live with. That if you are certain about things, let's not get your doubts, change the ruling. Apply what you are certain about. And that actually helps many Muslims who have those type of whispering where a person is always like, did I do it? Did I not do it? What do we call this type of mentality? We call it in Arabic muwaswas. Waswasa, yes. I love this. Is that in Urdu as well?
It's in Turkish.
Turkish? MashaAllah. What is in Urdu? Waswasa? Okay, so there are many people who have waswas, right? Waswasa. And that actually makes people always like, oh, did I not? At certain point in time, I have seen, wallahi, I still remember this one sister who told me that sometimes I repeat my prayer 5 times. 5 times. And I asked her why. She says, because I don't know what, if I pass when, I don't know if I nullified my wudu. Even when I come and I'm sure that I did wudu, then it becomes more of a whispering like, did you make the wudu in full or did you forget something in your wudu? And those people have a real issue. SubhanAllah, Islam came with all khair and barakah to them. So let me, inshallah, conclude here. I mean, this rule, if we want to teach it in reality, it's going to take a long time. But I thought at least I give you some basics of it. And I did tell you before that throughout the past weeks, my plan was to take you over multiple disciplines within Sharia. So we did talk, for example, about hadith. We did talk about rijal al-hadith, mustalah. We did talk about seerah. We did talk about tafsir. We did have an aqidah session. And today was qawa'id al-fiqhiyya. And hopefully, inshallah, by the beginning of January, maybe the second Sunday of January, we will be doing tafsir, inshallah. That's the plan. And hopefully we will be doing between Surah Al-Nas and Surah Al-Duha, inshallah. And the reason I'm choosing this is because I heard it from many brothers that's their preference, but also because prior to Ramadan, we want really to connect ourselves with Quran to the best of our ability, inshallah. So with that, I conclude. Any question, inshallah? Do we have any further? 15 more minutes? Okay, let's take questions. I do believe this fiqh thing would have some questions there. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Another time, the wuzu during prayer, isn't it not allowed to continue where you left off? You don't have to repeat.
You must repeat, of course. Of course. Yeah, it's not like tawaf. In tawaf, when you go for umrah or for hajj and you do the tawaf, each round is an independent unit. So let's say you did tawaf and you did 3. And then in the 4th round, in the middle of it, you broke your wudu. You need to renew your wudu and then resume from the beginning of the 4th one. So you don't count the half of it, but you can count all the rounds that were complete. In prayer, no. It's only 1 unit. Salat al-Dhuhr is 1 unit. Yes, there are sub-units, but those sub-units are all dependent. So you just cannot say, okay, I did 2 rak'ah, I broke my wudu, and now after I refreshed my wudu, I come back and I resume from the 3rd rak'ah. You cannot do that. It has to be from the beginning. There's no difference of opinion about this. By the way, wherever there is a difference of opinion, I'd like to highlight this again. And the reason for this is because The purpose of this is not really to take you to one madhab over the other. The purpose of this is to educate ourselves on the things that we all agree on, and for those differences of opinion, we need to respect. And we need to understand that living in America requires us to appreciate the other opinion. Inshallah, go ahead. Next time. Yeah, 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 yeah. Right, right. That, yeah, that's a very good question. So the question says, if you are in Jama'ah, in congregation, and you break your wudu, what should you do? If you leave, then you may harm the people, right? Or you may disturb the people. But if you stay also, you are actually disconnecting the line. You know that? You're disconnecting the line. You cannot be in the middle of a line without wudu, because now this line is disconnected. And in those similar situations, akhi, we have another rule, which says, al-akhdhu bi-adna al-mafsadatayn, that you take the lesser evil. You choose the one that has less harm. So it actually depends. I would say if you are, let's say you are in a very, very crowded place. Let's say we are praying Salat al-Eid. And you know that if you were to move, then it will become a big mess. And you can't even you can't even refresh your wudu and then come and join the prayer. It's going to take you a long time to go to the the wudu facility. So in this case, halas, what should I do? But if it is easy and then you can go make your wudu and come and join the prayer, even if it is going to be a little bit harmful to some of the people, you should be fine. So it has to be an ijtihadi based on the situation. And you are the judge. You judge yourself. Right? Yeah. It's all based situation dependent, Habib. I would say, frankly, that this masjid is easy to leave. You can go all the way. I know people may not like it, but also we should not like that we disconnect the line. So maybe some people may ask, can I walk in front of people while they pray, right? So you cannot, if you cannot walk in front of someone who is praying alone or praying as imam. But for people who are praying behind the imam, their sutra is the sutra of the imam. And there's a hadith about this. There's a sahabi who said that we were praying with Rasulullah, and during our prayer, a donkey will walk between the lines. A donkey. And you know, in Sharia, if a donkey walks in front of you, your salah is nullified. But that is only if you are the imam or you are praying alone. If you are praying behind the imam, then everyone takes the ruling of the imam. That's why the sunnah, barakallah fikum, is that if you pray alone or if you pray as an imam, to have a sutra. Sutra is like something in front of you, like for example a wall or maybe a bag or something in front of you, so that no one will cut you during the prayer. That is a sunnah. In certain madhahib it is mandatory, but the vast majority of ulama it is sunnah. Yes.
Sajda sahu. When do you apply sajda sahu? What kind of mistake you make that can cover by sajda sahu?
So sajda sahu, sujood sahu is one of the most confusing ruling between madhahib. But the one, at least I can tell you now, this is in the Hanbali madhab. I can tell you this, and if I want to explain this in all the madhab, it will be until Asr. So let's just do the one madhab, and the reason I'm choosing Hanbali madhab is because there is an explicit hadith about it. There are two hadiths about it. One hadith that says, if you have a doubt, and you cannot say, is it this or is it that, then the hadith says, you pray, you rely on what you are certain about, and you make sujood al-sahw before salam. Before salam. Because any doubt that you have in your prayer needs sujood al-sahw. But in this case, if it is a doubt that you cannot really say, you cannot go either way, it is like 50-50 or maybe 55 versus 45, then you make your sujood al-sahw before salam. There's an explicit, authentic hadith that says, if you had doubt, but then it became almost certain, not certain, but you are very close to certain that it was something, then apply that and make sujood al-sahw after salam. That's why some of the imams, when they do their sujood al-sahw, they do it after salam. Now, perhaps the question would be, what if I do it before salam? Is that fine or not? It is fine. It is fine. So if you forget this rule, you can always do sujood sahw before salam and you should be fine. Because the vast majority of times when Rasulullah ﷺ did his sujood sahw, he did it before salam. But I think what the question you started with, when I have doubt, or even when I have doubt, but I lean towards one way or the other, then do I need to pray sujood sahw? Yes, you do. You do. If it is 50-50, do it before salam. If you lean more like 75-80% towards one way over the other, then apply that and make sujood sahw after salam. Okay? Allah alaikum ya Rab. Okay. Any other question? But again, this is the Hanbali madhab. So if I mean, you will hear a different, in the Hanafi madhab, they all do it before salam. Okay. Yes, Akhi. Barakallah feek. The question is, can I just pick and choose between the madhahib? Or can I just say, okay, whoever the imam, I can ask him, right? So, yeah. Sure. Sure. Barakallah feekum. Can someone choose between madhahib, like depending on the situation, right? Yeah. Listen, Habibi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَيَوْمَ يُنَادِيهِمْ فَيَقُولُ مَاذَا أَجَبْتُمُ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. It's in Surah Al-Qasas. In the day of judgment, Allah will ask you, how did you answer the prophets? The ulama have all agreed, all of them, all the madhahib have agreed that when you need to ask a person, a alim, you must have a trust that this alim is the true alim. Is a alim who is knowledgeable and pious. Those two conditions. They all agree on this. Now, if let's say that you live in a city, all of the ulama there are Maliki. Let's assume. All of them are Maliki. And you don't know the answer, you must ask one of them. You must. There's no way that you can just go with ignorance, because the ulama there are not following the madhab that you follow, right? However, the ulama have also said that, let's say that I believe that Imam al-Shafi'i was the most knowledgeable among the four, and I'm following Imam al-Shafi'i, right? Can I just go with the Imam Abu Hanifa in certain issues? The ulama have a detailed answer to this, but there are two principles. One is that going between madhahib is most likely going to be like cherry picking. That okay, who is the easiest on this? Okay, I'll be Hanafi on that one. Who is the strongest in this? I will avoid them. I still remember my mother. My mother is Hanafi. She grew me as Hanafi. That was my childhood. Hanafi, pure Hanafi. So my mom, when she lived in Germany, and during that time, she was when she meets with German ladies, like non-Muslim ladies, she would uncover. So when I started to learn the Hanafi madhab, in the Hanafi madhab, a woman must cover in front of non-Muslim women. Right? That's in the Hanafi madhab. So I told her, Mom, in your madhab, in the Hanafi madhab, you cannot take off the scarf in front of a non-Muslim woman. And my mom said, today I'm Hanbali. Because in Saudi Arabia, they follow the Hanbali madhab, and they don't mind. They say if it is in front of a woman, then you should be fine even if the woman is not Muslim. That's Hanbali madhab. So in this way, no, we say no, you cannot do cherry picking. Because why do I follow this opinion or that opinion? It's not because it's easier. It's actually because I should have a strong belief that this opinion is actually coming from the most knowledgeable person and from the most pious person that is available to me at the time of the question. So that's why I'm saying, Habibi, if you are following certain sheikh, alim, scholar, let's say that there is a scholar called Ahmed. I'm just giving this name. And you believe in him. MashaAllah, Ahmed is a scholar that is available to you, and he is, MashaAllah, pious and knowledgeable. So you ask him all the time. Do you have to ask him, Sheikh Ahmed, please, every time you answer me based on my madhab. Let's say your madhab is Maliki. Should you ask him to do this? No. And Sheikh Ahmed, or Imam Ahmed, or the scholar Ahmed, he might be Maliki for the most part, but he has ijtihad, and he reached to a level where he can choose between the difference of opinion, and he becomes mujtahid. Like, for example, I give you one very common example, Sheikh Taqi Uthmani. Have you heard of him? Taqi Uthmani is Hanafi. Is one of the greatest Hanafi scholars in the world these days. But he sometimes does not take Hanafi thoughts because he's mujtahid. Now, if I follow him, should I tell him, please, at the time when you choose non-Hanafi, you should tell me because I'm Hanafi? No, you should not say this. Because when you follow him, you're following someone who you trust is very knowledgeable and at the same time is pious. So please put in your mind those two principles. Number one, Allah will not ask you if you were Hanafi or you were Shafi'i or whatever. Allah will ask you, how did you answer the prophets? And how do we answer the prophets? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the ones of knowledge when you are not aware, when you are not knowledgeable. So that's what you need to do. Now, can you ask different people so that you take the easier? No. Because what you need to do is always make sure that the answer that you get is the one that would get you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That may not necessarily be the one that you like. That's why the ulama say, in order to avoid this discrepancy and avoid people just cherry picking, they tell people, if you are following a madhab, stick to it, so that you don't do that cherry picking. But I also say that if you are following one madhab and you live in a place where the one that you really trust the most with their knowledge and with their piety, then stick to that alim. Don't stick to just the word madhab. Because what you really need to follow is Ahlul Ilm. Don't do cherry picking, don't move between madhahib, yes. But at the same time, don't say, I live now in a place where all the ulama are Maliki, but I'm Shafi'i, so I'm not listening to them. You cannot do this. This actually makes it even more prohibited, because now you are rejecting some of what is qualified to be a sheikh, a scholar, a mufti, and just because you say, okay, I'm following something else. Did I make it clear?
No.
Not clear on some of the issues, like for Asr especially, like Asr,
Yeah, the timing of Asr? Okay, so the timing, yeah. So the timing of Asr, Habibi, there are two opinions. There's the Jumhur, the Shafi'i, Maliki and Hanbali, which actually is earlier than the time of Abu Hanifa. And what they say is that it all depends on when, if you are in the middle of the summer and you have a stick, after Dhuhr, you see the shadow of the stick. At the time when it is actually equal, this is the stick and the shadow is this length, is this long. Then in the Shafi'i, Hanbali and Maliki madhab, they say this is the time of Asr. In the Hanafi madhab, the shadow or the shade, or the shadow, I'm sorry, should go double the length. Okay, that's how they are different. And actually, both of them are coming from hadith. Wallahu alam. The ahadith that the majority of the scholars, which is Shafi'i, Maliki and Hanbali, are very strong. Very strong. So what I recommend all the time is that it is better for the Masjid to defer Salat al-Asr so that all the madhab can pray together, and that's what we do here, alhamdulillah. So we accommodate all of them, because the Maliki or Shafi'i don't mind if you postpone it until the shadow would become double the size, right? However, try your best not to postpone Salat al-Dhuhr after the first time. So in other words, you put yourself in the safe side. Now you're asking perhaps, is it permissible that I pray Salat al-Asr at the early time or not? I think that's your question. Yeah, and that's why I tell you, Habibi, whoever that you believe is your mufti, regardless of their madhab, you believe this is your mufti because of their knowledge and piety, just ask them and stick to that. Until you become, you probably might like to pursue your knowledge and become a student of knowledge, then at that point in time you can choose. But if someone is like a layman person, then they need to stick to one opinion and not really do the cherry picking. Yeah. So what we are doing here, by the way, is we are following the Hanafi madhab when it comes to Salat al-Asr, and that's why we have the third khutbah. What time is the third khutbah? 3:15. If you go to the Jumhur, they say this is Asr time, khalas, it's over. But in the Hanafi madhab, it is still the time for al-Dhuhr. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So it's better to sum it up what you just said is just to follow your mufti.
Follow the one that you trust the most. Follow the one that you trust the most, yes.
My mufti would be the scholar of this masjid, because I come to this masjid. I just start following this. Much easier for me than rather going to...
Well, I mean, what I tell you is that, Habibi, the ulama, our ulama, mashallah, are so accessible these days, right? So, I mean, let's assume I do trust Taqi Uthmani, and I do trust him, of course. So why can't I make him my mufti? Let's say that someone else is trusting, for example, Imam al-Ghiryani in Libya. He's the biggest mufti in Maliki madhab. Why not? Because they are accessible. At the time when they are not accessible, you can ask some local imam who you trust the most.
It's very difficult to reach out to Pakistan.
Then, if it is, yeah, what I'm trying to say, Habibi, you are supposed to follow the one that you trust the most. If that person is accessible. If not accessible, then you can move lower the ladder with the people that are accessible, but also still in your mind that you think they are most pious and most knowledgeable. So that's how it is. And let me tell you this. Just consider any of our imams in the past, like the followers of Imam Abu Hanifa. At that time, by the way, there wasn't something called Madhab Abu Hanifa. There wasn't. Madhab Abu Hanifa was only became formal after his death. But at his time, he was just one of the muftis. So someone who was following him, and then he traveled from Iraq to, say, Mecca, or say Medina, for example, he would no more be following the opinion of Abu Hanifa, he would be following the opinion of Imam Malik in Medina. So it doesn't hurt, but as long as you satisfy one thing. At the time when you ask your question, you're asking a person that you trust their religion, you trust their piety and their knowledge. Wallahu alam. But for the most part, you can always say, I'm Hanafi. That's fine. Yeah. My father is Shafi'i, and he sometimes, when he asks the scholars of Saudi Arabia who are Hanbali, he would tell them, can you tell me the Shafi'i madhab out of this? And the Sheikh would say, I just cannot answer your question. جزاكم الله خير. Let's conclude here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.